AJ has done almost $100,000 with his Amazon FBA business. And it looks easy, but the truth is there's 5 reasons why Amazon FBA is actually harder than most people think. Now, I think Amazon FBA is 100% worth it. I have one product that's done over $100,000 profit for the last few years. AJ has made tens of thousands of dollars with his Amazon product, and he's only been selling on Amazon for a week. But the goal of this video is to be 100% honest, 100% transparent, and show you what it's really like to sell on Amazon. So let's start with the first reason why Amazon FBA is harder than most people think, and that's because it takes time. So talk to us about this, because I know you've been working on your Amazon business for a while at this point.
It's probably been almost an entire year process. And honestly, one of the biggest things I struggled early on was coming up with an idea.
Yeah, and we talked about this in a previous video that AJ and I did together. Is he was having a really hard time coming up with an idea. He's actually in my Amazon FBA course, which I'll link down below. And he'd come to the weekly Q&A calls that I do. And every week I have this Q&A call and people are asking questions. He always had good questions. He's a really smart guy. He's working really hard. And I'm like, this is the kind of guy I want to partner with. So I had an idea for a product and I gave it to him and he took it and made it something way better than I could have ever imagined. But that is one thing to keep in mind. If you want to have a successful Amazon business, it takes time to do product research, to come up with a good idea. But even other than just coming up with an idea, after that, it still takes more time. For instance, it takes a while, like once you have the idea, to do the marketing.
Yeah, you got to build up the marketing, especially if you want to do some sort of Kickstarter or raise money for your product. You have to create a brand, and that just takes time. And not to mention, once you're ready to create your product, you got to wait for the manufacturer to make the product. That can take months. You got to get shipping. That can take over a month. There's just so many things that add up, and next thing you do, you blink and it's been a year later.
And everything takes longer than you think it's going to take. This is true no matter what type of business you're doing. For instance, most people think that they're going to contact the manufacturer and the manufacturer is going to start working on the product the next day. No, it takes some back and forth for you to work with the manufacturer and first off, make sure they're the right manufacturer, but also for them to give you the quotes and to answer you. And then even after that, it's going to take maybe 30 days from the day that you pay them your initial deposit before they actually produce the product. And then from there, it might take another week or two before it gets shipped out. And from there, it might take, if you're doing sea shipping, 6 weeks. And sometimes there's even other delays. And this is a very common thing. Don't expect it to all happen right away. It's gonna take time for you to launch your business. Again, I think it's worth it because a lot of people are gonna quit early on. And if you can stick through it, you can have a lot of success with Amazon FBA. Another reason why Amazon FBA is hard is because you have to front load a lot of the work. You have to do a lot of work up front before you ever make a dime. And I wanna be 100% clear, Amazon FBA is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something, if you need to pay your bills next month, this isn't the right business model for you. But if you're looking to build an empire, if you're looking to build something that's gonna make you passive income or just make you a lot of money in the long run, because one thing we haven't talked about yet is you can sell an Amazon business. And so it's not quick money and you're gonna have to do a lot of work up front, but it's eventually gonna pay off. Let's talk about some of the work you had to do up front, because you've been doing work for a long time before you ever made a dime off your business.
Yeah. So obviously I wanted to build a brand. If anyone doesn't know my story, I was able to fully fund my business on Indiegogo, and that required a lot of work. We're talking building a brand on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I had to get my product designed all at the same time. We're doing all this work. And then guess what? We also sold the product, and that was on Indiegogo. Well, I had to ship and label and send all of those out to customers. And those were some very, very late nights.
Yeah, it takes a lot of, actually, I'm here in Seattle visiting AJ. And one of the nights we spent together, I was just helping him box things up. And even with my help, my girlfriend's help, and his girlfriend's help, still, we only were able to do like 100, 200 boxes. So he's been doing a lot of this work on himself, and it takes a lot of hard work up front before you make any money. Another reason why Amazon FBA is harder than most people think is because it's more expensive. There's a lot of hidden fees, a lot of hidden costs, and this is true with any type of business you're doing. If you're trying to build a legitimate business, there's always gonna be things that you didn't expect to have to pay for. Want to talk about some of the things for you?
Well, for me, right off the bat, we had Indiegogo as our crowdsourcing way to make money, and Indiegogo charges you fees. They make you pay the credit card fees. You know, there were a lot of costs up front that were included with all that, not to mention shipping the products out to the customers. Okay. Now, granted, I got paid for that before I shipped them out, but wow, that's a lot of money to just be depleted from the money you raised. And then you actually go on the Amazon platform where they also have their own fees once you're finally there.
Yeah, there's the 15% Amazon selling fee just to sell on their platform. There's the Amazon FBA pick and pack fee and other random things that you might not think about. Like, for instance, the gas to drop off your products at the post office, or having to pay for boxes for your products to go into so you can ship into Amazon. Like, there's all kinds of little costs. Now, the truth is, in the grand scheme of things, all these little fees are worth it. And you're gonna end up, hopefully, if you run your numbers properly, you'll actually still be profitable. But there's all these little random fees that a lot of people do not consider. And you wanna make sure you factor those in when you're trying to figure out if your product is gonna be profitable.
And not to mention, moving into the e-commerce space, there might be some just additional equipment you wanna purchase, like a label printer and label paper and tape and boxes. That stuff kind of adds up. And not to mention, right now, there's also a spike in shipping.
Yeah.
So getting your product from your warehouse anywhere in the world to your house right now, you're probably going to pay a little bit more than you thought.
And one thing I want to add on to what AJ was saying is, this is one of the advantages of Amazon FBA is once you actually get into the Amazon platform, you're not going to have to pack up all these boxes. You're not going to have to go to the post office and deal with all the shipping yourself. So as much as I've been talking about why Amazon's hard, there's a lot of really good reasons why in the long run, once you're finally on Amazon, it's so much easier, because AJ is gonna see, like, once he's on Amazon and everything's running smoothly, he's gonna be able to be on a beach in Mexico and sales are just gonna be coming in. But it's because he did the hard work up front. And that brings us to the fourth reason why Amazon's harder than most people think. And that's just, there's a lot of different issues with working with a giant company like Amazon. They're a $1.6 trillion company. They're this huge company, and they set all kinds of different rules and requirements to work with them. Now, for the most part, you can get over these, and it's easy once you start actually working with them. But you want to talk about some of the issues you had early on with Amazon?
Yeah, so at the point when I was sending products into Amazon, they actually had a 200 unit limit, which ended up not being very good for me because I sold out of that in literally 2 hours.
Yeah. We gotta link that. We'll link that video here. If you haven't seen that video yet, he was able to sell out 200 units basically in 2 hours because he had a TikTok that went viral, and he put in the hard work up front and he was able to make this happen. But still, that is the power of Amazon.
But they have changed the 200 unit limit since. So there you go. That's another headache with selling on Amazon, but at least they fixed it.
Yeah, because in the old days, before everything that happened last year, you could send in a few thousand, but then because of they were having some issues, they limited it to 200. But now they've since fixed that. But there's still other issues. For instance, it took you a little while to get your listing approved, I think, on Amazon as well, right?
Yeah, it was hard because I wanted to get brand registry. There were so many steps, and it seemed really hard to get in touch with the right person who would approve my listing. It would just say air and a bunch of numbers, and I had no idea who to contact. And it probably took a month and a half for me to actually get a listing up and running, which, if you're a procrastinator like me, that's a lot of time. I needed every one of those days to get ready.
And that brings us back to the first point, which things just take longer. So again, if you have to pay your bills next month, probably not the best route for you. But if you're looking to grow something really big, this is a great opportunity. And the last thing that we want to talk about, and the fifth reason why Amazon is harder than most people think, is because of inventory planning. Really, a lot of people have no idea how much they're going to sell once they get up and running. And this could be a really good thing or a really bad thing. And for you, it was a really good thing in some ways and a really bad thing in other ways.
Yeah, so again, I only had, I think we ended up sending in 160 units into Amazon, sold out in 2 hours. I had 16,000 people visit my Amazon listing to buy, and really just the whole planning of it, I missed out at least on $50,000 worth of sales, at least.
At least. I mean, those in the first 2 hours, $5,000 in sales. If it would have been up, I think at least another $50,000 in sales, if not another $100,000 in sales. But because we had no idea, we only sent in 160 plus at the time. Amazon was limiting how much you could send in. And that's a hard thing to figure out.
Plus, on top of this, if you were to almost sell out of your product and you want more inventory back in, I mean, it could take a month to get it manufactured and another month to get it shipped. Yeah. So, I mean, you got to really be planning this stuff 2 months in advance and also put money up 2 months in advance.
But here's the thing. By the end of AJ's first week selling on Amazon, in total, including Indiegogo and money he made off Amazon, he did over $80,000 in sales, I think $20,000, $30,000 in profit. This is a huge opportunity, and in this video right here, we talk about how AJ did it, what his product is, everything you need to know so that you can have as much success as AJ. So click on that video so you can learn more about AJ's story. And thanks for watching.